Good morning, folks. We're back out at Dad's shop today, and today I've got something a little bit different to work on. It is this carbide lamp. A buddy of mine was up at the Cornstalk Lantern Festival, come walking up to me with this and said that he's had this, and every time he walks by it in his garage, he thinks of me and says, Luke needs to have that thing. So he gave it to me, and I am going to see if I can get this thing to work. I'm pretty positive that this one is maybe a bicycle lamp. It's got a glass lens, and a lot of carbide lamps do not have any lens on it at all. This one's got a glass lens and then a little chimney for the heat and smoke to come out since it's closed in for the lens. And typically, well, here I've got a couple other carbide lamps here. This little thing is dusty. Let's wipe that off real quick. See if it has a manufactured name or anything on it anywhere. But this is a typical, like a miner's lamp, carbide light from, I don't even really know. I'll have to look and see when carbide lamps first became a thing. I feel like they probably were around up through the maybe 20s and 30s. I'll put that down in the, put a caption in the video saying that.
I bought that thing a long time ago.
Probably at a yard sale or something.
Yeah. I think I bought that from an antique dealer, a friend of ours.
That could be.
John Mickey.
That could be. Well, his was kind of set up like a yard sale usually.
Yeah.
Didn't really have a permanent location a lot of the time, but that says Autolite. And, well, I've got an even better carbide lamp here, better to use for demonstration. Not a better looking or a cooler carbide lamp than that, but it definitely is a better one to use as a demonstration to show how they work. And it is this poor old thing. Just Right carbide lamp. We've had this for a long time. And it was in just about this bad a shape when we got it. The box was all a mess, and somehow we have managed to keep it and keep all the parts together, keep the box. I guess that side of the box is a little better. We've managed to keep all the parts of it together. And when my buddy gave me that carbide lamp, we were talking about it. I said, well, I'm pretty sure I know where that one that we had is at. I had made the joke and said, well, I know where it was at 30 years ago, the last time I messed with it and put it out in the side building. And I walked out there, walked right up to the shelf, had to move a couple things that were piled on in front of it over the years, and it was sitting right where I sat it the last time I had messed with it, literally probably 30 years ago. Yeah. And I said that I was pretty sure we had a can of carbide. And as I was walking out there to look for it, I was thinking, I'm pretty sure I put the can inside of another can to try to keep it from drawing moisture. And sure as shit, the can's still there. The stuff inside of it is, you can hear it, it's pretty much all dust now. I think it was supposed to be little pellets, and I think all the pellets have been used, or over the years they've just fallen apart and turned to dust. But it's still there. And it's just funny that I thought, I'm pretty sure 30 years ago when we did that, I stuck that in another can to keep it from drawing moisture. And the lamp was on one shelf, and the shelf below it was this coffee can. And I dug it out, and sure as shit, there it is still after 30 years, sitting in the same spot. So I thought that was kind of funny. But this one's kind of a good one just to use as a demonstration of how they work. And this one was made to go on a hard hat, I'm pretty sure. Well, let's see what it says on the box. Just right carbide lamp for a brilliant beam from carbide and water with polished reflector and light attachment. Made in USA. Just Right Manufacturing Company, Chicago, Illinois, USA. Apparently when it was new, I'm guessing that's what that sticker was, $24.95. I didn't even pay attention to that, but there is remnant. Oh, that's a tip cleaner. There's a wire right there on that. I'll bet that's a tip cleaner. Let's see if these instructions are, ooh, man. I probably have never had that out of the box. There's another little caution, do not fill lamp above level 1. All right, so as I was saying, this is a good one to use to show the fundamentals of a carbide lamp. And I guess we could see if this one will light. I have burned this before years ago. I don't think we ever burned that old one of Dad's because I'm pretty sure the gasket in it was all dried out and roached out, and we just never messed with it. But I am pretty certain we probably can light this one up. But the way that a carbide lamp works is you have, ugh, that's gross. You have a reservoir down here that you put some carbide fuel pellets in. Then you have a top reservoir that you put water in. And you adjust your little needle valve, crack it open, and it starts to drip water from this tip down into the bottom reservoir. And when it drips in there, it makes a chemical reaction with the carbide, calcium carbide, and that chemical reaction puts off acetylene, and that's what you burn. So you fill your top reservoir with water and put some calcium carbide in the bottom reservoir, open up the valve, let it start dripping water in there, and you'll start to get a chemical reaction to make acetylene. Then that acetylene comes out this fitting. This poor old, ooh, that's pretty hard, but I'll bet it'll still plug on there. Rubber hose goes on there. And the gas comes out through this tip. You light it, it burns. Reflector works like a flashlight reflector, and you can shine the light wherever you want. So I'm gonna let it hang right there. Kind of. Put that over there like that. I bought a can of calcium carbide online. That was like $30 for that little can of calcium carbide, but I got that. And you can see the sides kind of banged in. I'll take a picture. I dumped all this out into a cup and straightened that out already. It was damn near folded in half. I don't know how they managed to destroy the can so bad and the box was still intact. So you got your calcium carbide fuel pellets. That's what they look like. Just a little gravel. I will put a little bit of it in here, and I'm gonna take that to the garbage can, dump the residue out of it first. We'll put a little bit in there. I'm not gonna add a whole lot. Just enough to kind of cover the bottom. Oh, you can smell it. It's got a unique smell to it, kind of sulfury. I'm sure it's probably healthy to take a big whiff of it. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go put a little bit of water in this. Okay, I ran a little bit of water in there. And I guess I should mention again, like I always say, you got a big old fire extinguisher on the wall right there. Anytime you're messing with stuff like this, you should be doing it outside, or make sure you've got a good fire extinguisher nearby in case stuff gets a little more flamey than you want. Let's crack that open, see if water still drips through there. I could read enough in the instructions that I saw that it said to open it about 1 turn. We're getting nothing out of there.
Could be plugged up.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah, that's enough.
Well, at 1 turn it's not dripping very fast, but I can actually just open that up to where it's giving me a drip every few seconds, then put it together and let it start accumulating some gas in there. I actually don't know how often it should drip a drip, but I can start there, and if we're not getting enough flow, we can open it up more from there. I'm going to set that on there, and immediately you can hear when that drips in there, you hear a sizzle.
That was me.
So it'll start, it's gurgling, making noise.
Yeah.
It will start releasing some gas from that tip if that tip isn't plugged up, which it shouldn't be. I just used this like 30 years ago. It should be fine.
Yeah.
Well, there definitely is some gas escaping from there. I think every time it drips and you get a little sizzle, you get some gas, and then it kind of, there we go.
Yeah, once it gets some
It almost
accumulation.
dies down again. So let's open that up a little bit more. And it would probably be better with more carbide in there, but I'm not going to dump a whole bunch of my carbide in there, because after we're done showing this one time, this will probably go back on the shelf out there for at least another 30 years. But it's burning, and you can adjust your water flow, your drip rate, to adjust the flame. Turn it this way a little bit. That reflector's filthy dirty, but you can see that that reflector does make a beam much like a flashlight. So pretty cool. That's a good one just for showing the basics of how a carbide lamp works. This one would be the same thing, except you just have your water reservoir on the top, your carbide reservoir on the bottom, no hose. It's directly plumbed right into the back of that reflector. Like I said, I'm pretty positive the seals in this were shot, so that's why we never had tried to light that one. But now that I've explained kind of how it works, let's shut this one down and get back to the main event here, the antique one that I'm going to try to get going. All right. Now, back to this one, and I just had a thought occur to me here. I don't know how in the heck I'm even going to light this thing. There's no lighting hole to get in there to light it.
Striker?
Nope.
That probably don't work.
Well, there's no striker on it at all. I don't know. Maybe be able to reach down from up there with something, but that's not going to be easy to do. Anyhow, this one, like I said, I'm pretty sure is like a bicycle headlamp one or something, because It's got the glass in there to keep it from blowing out. So I'm guessing they had carbide lamps for early motorcycles.
Is that glass open? It looks like a hinge on the side.
Well, there's something there, but no. I wonder if it had something else attached. He's asking about this part right here, but there's nothing on that. I don't know if it had something on it. It did hinge over it, but the glass is held in by a big snap ring in the middle of the glass. So it certainly does not hinge open. Maybe it originally did. I don't really know. But I also don't want to do too much to this. I really like the look of it just like this. I would just like to get it working the way it is. That old rubber hose is as hard as a rock, but if it doesn't leak, it doesn't have to hold much pressure. It literally has to hold enough pressure just to get it there to the tip. It doesn't really build up a lot of pressure. It works the same concept as the last one I showed you. Water reservoir at the top, fuel reservoir at the bottom. Fuel drips through, pressure comes out through that hose and into your burner. So I guess for my first try here, I'm gonna just see if I can get that ring out that's holding the glass in there and pop the glass out so I can get right into the burner. I don't know, there's a valve over here going into the burner. I don't know if you have to open that valve before you start your water dripping. Not real positive. But let's see if we can pop that glass out of there and actually get to the burner inside of here. Well, this is not super convenient because it's got be careful. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna be careful. I don't want to break that glass. That arm is right in the way for trying to do that. I'm gonna tip this back so that glass doesn't fall out when I pull that ring out of there. Let's see. Oh, Jesus. Okay. The glass and that poor old reflector all came out in one piece. We'll clean that up just a little bit. There was a piece of steel wool. There it is. Laying here when we cleaned off the bench. Dad's been doing some woodworking on the Model A. So the steel wool's got wood chips in it. We're gonna show some more on that next week's video. That'll be coming up. I'm not getting very carried away here. I'm just knocking the loose stuff out of there. I don't even know if this thing is even gonna work. When we got it home, when we got it home, I pulled it apart to see what the inside of this looked like, and when I pulled that apart, this little cup that goes down in here, where your carbide goes, is in rough shape. It's got 100 stress cracks around it. Looks pretty rough, but I thought, well, it might be good enough just to try it out and see if we can make this thing work. And then like one day later, Facebook Marketplace, what do we find but this carbide lamp? It's different. It's got a clip-on bracket instead of where this was made to bolt to something. So that's what leads me to believe that this probably was for like maybe a miner's. Like you could have had that clipped onto something and then had the hose that went up to your headlamp. Where this one that had a bracket that bolted together was probably meant to go on the handlebar or the tank or something on a bike or motorcycle or something like that. I will do a little more research, and if I can find a picture of one similar to this on something, I will add it in to the video. But this one is in really good shape and has the cap for the tank that's missing right there. And the tank on the inside of this does not have a single stress crack in it. And the gasket down in there looks pretty okay compared to, this one really doesn't look all that bad either. Still fairly soft, but the one down in there looks all right. So I think I am just going to swap the whole bottom part of this. If the threads match up the same, just swap out that whole bottom, put this one on here. Oh, that's, uh-oh, will that fit in there? Yeah, we go. There we go. If those threads are the same. I guess they actually look like they might be a little bit different threads on there. Yeah, that is not going to thread together. They don't look too much different, but let's see if we can get this out of here without destroying that gasket. It's rocking around a little bit. This one's actually in worse shape than the bottom off of the old crusty one. It's kind of bent up, and actually look right there. There's a crack down the side of that right there. So actually this old crusty bottom part is better. Oh, come on. Well, there. I certainly didn't think that was going to be the hardest part of the whole damn thing, but we got it out of there. Let's take this gasket off of there and have a better look at it. Make sure it's not cracked or broken anywhere. Alright, I just went over and got a little bit of motor oil out of our oil can over there. We're going to oil this rubber up. The oil will probably attack the rubber and dissolve it.
Oh no, that's good oil.
Okay, that rubber gasket, I'm not afraid of using that. And honestly, the one on the other one doesn't look too bad either, so I've got a backup if I ever need it. Which I doubt I'll ever need it, because I don't foresee this being a real high-use, everyday use item, but...
And if they lasted that long, they'll probably last as long as we needed to.
Stay back, Leo. Get back. You don't need to come lick that up off the floor. Alright. Let's see here. Boy, there ain't much carb cleaner in that can.
Oh, I got some more.
There might be enough. I just want to hit this just a little bit. Wipe it down a little bit. I'm not going to worry about cleaning the residue out of the bottom or anything like that. Just try to get that cleaned up a little bit there. So let's put this gasket back on there. We're going to use, oh, does that one say that too? Yeah, I guess I do. They both say the same thing on the bottom. Brilliant Searchlight Manufacturing Company, made in Chicago, USA, patent October 21st, 1902, April 4th, 1914. My guess is these were probably used from the mid to late 1800s up through the 30s. Probably they died out by then. I'm guessing that by the time you got into the 1920s, battery flashlights were getting pretty darn good, and that's probably what was the death of the carbide lamp, was that battery flashlights finally got good enough to completely replace them. So there we go. That fits right in there. I'm going to dump the carbide that we put in this other lamp into this one, because like I said, this other lamp's just going to go back out on the shelf. And I'll add just a little bit more to this one, because if it works, which is a big if it works, I will try to get a shot of this in the dark at home tonight. Maybe we'll go put the chickens away with it, use it to light up out there and see how much light this thing actually casts. There we go. Got a calcium carbide in there. We'll use, this is the better shape one of those. I don't know exactly what that little diverter is in there for, but if it's in there, we might as well put it back. Oh, I do see this has a little spring in there that kind of pushes that down. So maybe if you fill that clear up as it uses it up, it just kind of tamps it down to keep the ash broke up or something. I don't really know. This poor old thing though, it's rough. It's got stress cracks and it's all spread out all the way around there. So once we get this put together, this part can just be a shelf sitter. It looks nice enough that, there we go, that it'll look good still sitting on a shelf somewhere. And that's all it will need to do. Okay, well, I struggled getting that part pulled out of there, and it's because this has a crack and it's out around. So we'll put that back together off camera. I am going to steal the cap off the water reservoir since my other one's missing that. Okay, whoops, just knocked the box on the floor. All right, I'm going to get a little bit of water and put in here, and I'm going to crack this open and see if we get some drips coming out of there or not. All right, got a little bit of water here. Let's see, that valve is shut. I have no clue. I've not pulled this part any more than that. I have no clue what that valve, what kind of condition that's in up inside of there, but let's just fill it up with water and see if it runs through when the valve is shut, because if it does, that's a problem. If it doesn't drip with the valve shut, then we'll open the valve and see if we get some drips coming through when it's open. Very scientific. Jesus, I feel like that little reservoir shouldn't even hold that much water. Oh, there we go. Now I can see the water level coming up in there. Let's get the camera around here. I do not see any drips down here yet. So let's crack this open. I don't know, I'll go half a turn maybe. Okay, full turn maybe. Turn and a half. Ruh-roh, maybe that doesn't work. 2 turns? Oop. There we go. 2 turns. We're starting to get some drips. So that'll be our starting point. Yeah, that was not quite 2 full turns, but we'll go about 2 turns. That'll be our starting point for lighting this. What's wrong, Leo? Are you very concerned about the possibility of an acetylene explosion? Because this old hose that I'm depending on working is stiff as a brick? Is that what you're concerned about? Or is it because you got sawdust all over the bone you're chewing on? All right, let's see if we can get this. Well, there, after 5 minutes fiddling around trying to get that threaded back on there, I got that on there and got it tightened up to where hopefully we got a water or airtight seal down there. Guess I can put my cap on there. It's got the same threads as that other one. That's a good deal. Now, this burner, ooh, that doesn't look great. And I don't have another one. So I guess the burner kind of looks like it's missing part of the cone on it. But I can't really tell 100% for sure. Maybe it was made to be that way. But what I do know is if I open this valve about 2 turns, I ought to start hearing some hissing, and we ought to be able to get a lighter up in there and see if this thing will light or not. I assume this little valve over here is going to have to be opened also to let the gas pass through it. Let me just thread that off of there and see exactly what that is. If it's a valve or just a plug in there. Well, it's got plenty of threads on it, that's for sure. Alright, that is not a needle valve. So, maybe that does not have to be opened. I don't know what the point of it would be though then. Or maybe it seats flat against something in there. I don't know. I will start with it open a little bit, and then when it's running, because it sure doesn't seem like it seals very well either. I feel like we would be losing pressure around that, around the threads, but maybe that's why it's got 3/4 of an inch of threads on it.
Yeah, that seems strange.
Yeah, we'll start with it open. It kind of does feel like maybe it seats against something when it goes all the way shut in there, so we'll start with it a couple turns open and see what it does. All right, let's go about half, 1.5, 2 turns. Here, I'm gonna shut that furnace back off. I'm not gonna be able to hear if this thing's hissing once the furnace starts running. Well, I got nothing coming at the nozzle. As much as I don't really want to do this. I feel like I might need to pull this rubber hose off of here. Boy, that thing is just hard as a rock. Ooh, there we go. I got it off of there. If that was sealed, it'll probably never seal again now. Okay, I'm gonna open that back up. 1, 2. Oh yeah, I can see a little bit of...
Yep, I see a vapor coming out.
Vapor coming out of there.
I'll blow an air hose through there.
Yeah. Very, very gently maybe. Let's see if I can just get this to come off that end too. That hose is so darn hard. It is a big one off of there though. Ooh. Sure, this is safe to put my mouth on. The hose is not plugged one bit, but that kind of looks like it may be. All right. So that fitting right there, that's where the hose went on, and that looks awfully crusty. I don't know if this piece that I had threaded out of there before, if I can thread that out of there. And no, well, I know the camera won't be able to see it, but I can see clear through that. So whatever's plugged is not right there, but it does look to me, yeah, let's try to get the camera over here where I can point it at that. It does look to me like this part should come off the bottom of that. Yeah, it looks to me like right there, right by my thumb, there's a little dimple in, and I'm guessing that that goes into a slot, and you'll be able to turn that and pull that burner off of there to try to clean it out. Well, that turns easier than I expected it to.
Well, come down.
There we go. So that is your burner assembly. Now you can see a lot better what I was saying earlier, that it looks like part of that is missing off of there. But I don't know that for a fact because I don't have another one to compare it to, but it certainly looks like it should have had 4 little segments going up there and one of them is gone. And it also looks like that is clear full of crud. I wonder if it looks to me like that tip will unscrew off of this. Ooh, not with my fingers. Ooh, it is knurled around the edge though, so I'm guessing those two parts come apart. These have got pretty fine jaws on this pair of pliers, so let's see if we can. Ooh boy. Oh, it's not threaded. It's just like a tapered seat in there.
Oh, you didn't break it then?
No. Nope, that piece is just tapered and this piece is tapered and they just seat together. Huh. Yeah, I thought that I broke it there, or didn't know for sure, but that tip definitely is plugged up. That part's open. The hole, that's interesting. Let me get my flashlight here so I can see a little bit better. Looks like, yeah, that thing does nothing. It doesn't thread in there. Even when it's threaded in all the way, it doesn't go in far enough to get to where the hole is that comes up the center of that. So I wonder if that's just like for a clean out or something. I don't know. But even with that all the way threaded in there, yeah, air still passes through that absolutely fine. Interesting.
There was a piece of welding wire there, but
Yeah.
we have plenty of it.
I don't know if that's small enough though. The tip cleaner wire that was with that other thing was awfully tiny. But maybe just some carburetor cleaner. Try to blast some carb cleaner through it and see if that does anything. This wire is about rusted in two.
I have to get the lantern kit out and get a tip out of there.
I don't have it with me.
Uh-oh.
Well, it's trying to go through there, but it is plugged up. Some air is going through it now, so we're getting there. Oh yeah, I can see daylight through it now. I don't know if this wire necessarily will pass through it because I don't know if this wire is the right size wire for this particular tip. But
Yeah.
this is just a wire for a tip on a carbide lamp. Yeah, it's coming clear through there. I can see the end of it now. All right. Well, the way that was in there, the part that is either broken off and missing, or if it did happen to be made that way, was facing towards the back. So I'll put it back in there so that it once again faces towards the back. I don't know if it makes any difference at all, but then squeeze that down in there. Oh, let's put it back together and try it again. Now, let's see here. The way that was on there, let's go this way. Here, let's get the camera around on this side. Yeah, it's called a bayonet fitting, where that pops up in there and then turns. a little bit. I was trying to think of that when I was taking it apart and couldn't come up with the right word. There we go. That clipped right in there and turned. Now let's get this poor old
Don't hit it too hard.
stiff as a board rubber hose. Yeah, I think I took this end off second and that worked okay that way, so we'll try to get this end back on there first. All right. I'll try to get that end back up on there. Oh man. Ooh. Well, that slid back down on there, but that doesn't feel like the most secure seal ever, but we'll try it again and see here. I think I was about 1, 2 turns was about where I was starting at before. I don't hear it doing anything yet. Huh? It's burning. Look at that. Let's go another half a turn and see if it makes a bigger flame. It sure does. It's getting a little bit bigger.
It looks like about like a headlight on a Model A, doesn't it?
Not really.
No.
It's about as bright as one.
That's what I mean, the
Yeah.
brightness.
Okay, well, I think I'll turn this out and we'll let it burn out and then we'll stick it all back together. But like I said before, once it's all together, I really don't know how I'm going to get in there to light it.
If you turn the gas on and get a fire up there in the vent, you think it'd jump down to that, or?
I don't know. Obviously somebody lit it somehow before, so. I don't know. Now that I see that it burns, maybe I ought to spend another minute trying to clean up that reflector a little bit. I think it's stainless steel, so it ought to shine up a little bit more than that. Alright, I got that shined up a little bit, but it does look like it is probably nickel coated brass, and the brass is starting to show through underneath, so I just stopped. Dad already cleaned up the glass a little bit. Stick that back in there and try to get my little snap ring pushed back in there to hold everything in place. It's all the way in there. So now I just got to figure out how I'm going to get a flame even remotely close. There's little vent holes in the side, but I don't think... Oh. Well, maybe that'll work. There must still be a tiny little bit of gas escaping because I stuck it up to the vent hole at the side and it lit right up. So maybe that will work. Let's go back. There's 1 turn, 2 turns. See if it starts.
Yeah, there she goes. Boy, turn that thing is blinding me.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of heat coming out of it though. The top of that's going to get hot.
That is neat.
Go another turn and see if it...
It might make a difference in the dark.
Well, that is pretty cool. And who knows, we could be losing a little bit of gas around there, I guess. Yeah, we're losing some gas right there.
Yeah,
for sure.
quite a bit.
Yeah. Wonder if I can get this bottom any tighter on there.
Next time I have a part, put some lube on there. Of course, that'll burn.
Yeah, it's leaking all around there.
It's leaking bad.
Yeah, let's shut the water off and let the gas start dying down here. Okay, we need to address our gasket. Apparently, that old gasket is not good enough. The flame's still burning. Okay, let's take that bottom back off of there. Take a better look at the gasket in here. I don't know, that gasket looks fine. It's plenty pliable. Let's just try threading this up on there and get it to thread a little bit deeper. Maybe it's... maybe the threads are bottoming out too soon or something, but I can't... Okay, I'm going to take brass brush here and clean the threads on the inside of this. I don't think the problem is the gasket. I think the problem is that this piece was not threading deep enough up on there. I'll do the same thing around the bottom of that. Just try to get all the old dirt and crud from the calcium carbide and all that stuff brushed out of these stamped threads where this threads together. I'm getting the best I can there on the back side of it. It's not enough room to get the whole brush through there, but I can still kind of get in there. Move up those threads a little bit and see if this will thread up on there a little bit farther.
Sounds better.
Yeah, now,
That thread's way up there.
yeah, now it'll thread clear up past
Yeah.
the top of that, and I know it was not going that far before. Accidentally getting this cleaner than I intended on. I guess since we've been burning this here, pop that out of there and show you what the calcium carbide looks like after it's been burned. It just turns to really dusty, like powdery stuff. Set that back in there. Put the gasket back on here. I do not believe that the gasket was the problem at all, especially now that that threaded way farther up on there. Also, don't check for gas leaks with a lighter. We're not supposed to do that, so that was a bad example of what to do.
Well, it isn't like it's going to explode or anything, is it?
There, we'll get that as snug as we can there. We'll go 2 turns open again, see if it'll light just from the side vent there. That's what I did before. It was on the opposite side, I think, but
Act like it's getting some fire there.
no, it's trying to. I think I might have too much flame going now. If I put it up there, yeah, that does nothing. We'll turn that back down and we'll just that's trying to.
There it is.
There we go. Now let's open that back up. Well, now we got less flame than we had before. Well, I don't see a bunch of bubbles coming out around that.
Oh, really? Maybe it's not making any calcium anymore. They don't burn up that quick though, do they?
That's probably right smack in the way. I'm good at setting that glass cleaner down absolutely 100% right in front of the camera.
We need to get them for sponsors once we show them.
It does seem like it's getting a little bit bigger now.
Yep, it is.
I don't know how long a tank of water should last in there, but I can definitely see that there is still water, at least 2/3 of the way up the tank. Alright, that's not too bad. If you get that reflector shined right towards you, it is fairly bright, but that's what I always say about the headlights on the Model A. You walk right in front of them and they look like they're bright, and then you get in the truck and you can't see a darn thing. So it could be that that calcium carbide's already got a layer ashed over the top of it, but I think that when you start it with fresh in there, and then even as it ashes over and everything, the water just continues to seep down through it. So it's not really something you're supposed to light and shut off and then reuse the same calcium carbide in there. Pretty cool. Wonder how many years it's been since this old thing's been lit up and burned. The top does get hot. It'll keep your hand warm when you're carrying it.
Yep.
Pretty darn cool. Well, like I said, we will light this back up at home tonight. I'll use it to put the chickens away after it gets dark, and we'll see if in the dark outside it actually even makes enough light to project out ahead of you. And
better carry your pocket light just in case.
Yeah. See if it projects enough light out in front of you to actually be useful or not. Okay. We're at home. I took an old tuna can and drilled some 1/4-inch holes in the bottom to make kind of a sifter. So I dumped the calcium carbide that was in the bottom of this into that, shook it around to get all the I'd call it ashes, but it's not really ashes. It's just the residue that's left after you have dripped the water in there and it has had the chemical reaction. And it looks like ashes. It kind of like wet dust. Anyhow, made myself a little sifter with like 1/4-inch holes so the big chunks of calcium carbide didn't fall out, but it let all the dust out. Sifted that out, dumped back in there, added just a little bit more fresh to there. Make sure I got the bottom good and tight on it so it doesn't leak. Filled it back up with water again. I'm gonna turn this on about 2 turns. That's what seemed like was good out of the shop. Give it a minute to start building some gas, and then since it worked good out of the shop, just passing the flame over those vent holes, we'll see if it'll light that way. Got dark on me because it's that time of year. It gets dark early, so I just grabbed the first Coleman lantern that I found that had some fuel in it out there. Didn't even look to see what year it is, but it's a soup can model. Lit right up. It was the first one. I just started grabbing the ones that were in the rafters that I could reach, and the first one I heard fuel in, brought it out here. And all right, let's. I don't know. I feel like there's got to be a better way of getting the flame into the bottom of that. There we go, a matchstick on a piece of wire for the wind. gonna have to come up with a better lighter for taking care of that. It's burning, but it's barely burning. There we go. Give it a little more time to drip in there and build a little bit of gas. Okay, it's burning. I think maybe my tip may already need to be cleaned, but I got it burning pretty decent there right now. I'm not going to take it clear apart to try to clean the tip, so let's shut off the Coleman lantern here. I'll go hang it back up, and then we'll walk out and shine it on the chicken coop and see if it makes enough light to be worth anything out there in the dark. Okay. It puts out some light. Let me get the camera around here. See on my table where it's shining. It is casting some light out there. You on the wall of the shed. Okay, I know that walking back here, it's not going to show up good when there's nothing ahead of me for it to be shining on. Let's get back here. There you go, you can see it lighting up the door of the chicken coop, or the chicken run, I guess I should say. Now there's going to be one chicken sitting right up there. That old gal, for some reason, every night comes and roosts up there. So I'm gonna have to set the camera down for a minute. Come on, old girl. I know. Every night we go through this. Hop in there. There we go. Now that it's, well, you can see the pallets over there by the door. That's a good, probably 12 feet away from me now, so it's doing all right, lighting stuff up. Not too bad. Alright, there we go. That is pretty cool. Alright folks, this is something a little bit different, but this was a fun one. I was looking forward to playing with this thing, and I've had a good time making this video today. Thanks a lot for watching. We appreciate each and every view. If you're enjoying the content we're putting out, the best thing you can do right now to help support our channel is just let the ads play when they come up. If it's a really long ad, let the first 30 seconds of it play before you skip it. That's enough to make it count. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment, share the video if there's somebody that you know you think might enjoy this video. And come on back next week. We'll have a video or something here for you to watch.